Hey gang, welcome to another edition of Doc's Dumpster, where it's a review of the movie Freddy Got Fingered. Oh my lord, Tom Green, what have you done? Well, it's a movie about a guy named Gordon, or Gord, or Gordy, I think he's called every once in a while in this movie, who decides to, one day, at the age of 28 years old, moves out of his parents' house to go to Hollywood, to pursue his cartoon dream of a superhero he created named X-Ray Cat. Well, there's a man at a major studio named David Davidson who pretty much turns down the idea and tells Gord to go back home, try again, and try and come up with a new cartoon idea instead of working at a cheese sandwich shop. Well, Gordon spends a lot of his time just pretty much being a grown-up Dennis the Menace. And his best friend Darren is suffering through all of Gordon's mishaps, including a skateboarding accident and too many things I really don't want to discuss on here because I don't want you guys being grossed out. But if you haven't seen it, trust me, you're in for a really grotesque time. He meets a woman named Betty who is in a wheelchair and works at a hospital, who is trying to make a high-powered rocket wheelchair. And, of course, Gordon has a younger brother named Freddy who is a success, but is also tortured by Gordon because, well, you know how older brothers and little brothers are, and yeah. Well, Gordon's dad is frustrated that he's not trying to go out there and do anything with his life. He can't stand the fact that his oldest son is sort of a child at heart, and, well, at one point, Gordon decides, screw it, I'm going back to Hollywood, and I'm going to try and sell my cartoons, and he goes back to see David Davidson, tries to sell a new cartoon called Zebras in America. It's been a while since I've watched this. I'm trying to put everything together in my head as best I can, gang. His dad walks into the office, causes chaos and a mess. The show gets sold for about $1 million, I think, or something like that. The show is a success. Gordon and his dad somehow wind up in another country, are held hostage. Gordon's mom leaves his dad for Shaquille O'Neal. Anyway, Gordon and his dad wind up coming back, and his little kid in the movie, whose name was Andy. Yeah, I don't want to give away too much about what happens to that poor kid either, but he goes through so much torture. Even Freddy Krueger would look at this movie and go, I couldn't even be that cruel. So they wind up back in America. Everything's fine, everything's cool, and everything's wonderful. The movie stars Tom Green, Rip Torn, Julie Haggerty, Harlan Williams, Eddie K. Thomas, I believe that was his name. That's Shaquille O'Neal. Just so many different people, and Drew Barrymore. So the question right now is, does this movie belong in a dumpster? No. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there may disagree with me on that one, but you know something? This movie is a cult freaking classic. I would not recommend it for people who have a very weak stomach, because this movie has a lot of really gross moments in it. This movie is written, directed, starring Tom Green, and you know anything he is a part of, it's going to be a big-time gross fest. But this movie had me laughing so much. So many scenes in this movie just made me laugh, and I feel like I've watched this movie probably 30, 40 times, and I still laugh at it. I can't even tell you what's my favorite scene. I couldn't even tell you what I think is the grossest scene of this movie, or the most insane scene of the movie. But I think it's something worth watching if you haven't watched it. But again, if you haven't watched it, proceed with great caution. This movie is not for the weak stomach or somebody who has a very sensitive system. But I enjoy this movie. I think it's hilarious, and it's definitely my top 10 favorite comedies of all time. And if you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments on what do you think about Freddy Got Fingered. I had no idea what that title meant until I watched the movie, and I went, oh, Good Lord, I don't know if I can even say the title of this anymore. It's a mess of a movie, but it is one of the few movies that make me laugh every time I watch it, and it's so bad it's good, and it is, yeah, it is considered one of the worst movies of all time. But you know something? It sold really well on DVD, so maybe it's not all that bad after all. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. And again, please let me know what you think about Freddy Got Fingered in the comments below. Love to hear from you guys. And if you have a movie that you think should be tossed into a dumpster, send it my way, and I will get on it ASAP. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching. And until next time, as always, stay strong and rock on. Daddy, would you like some sausage?